Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 27th meeting of the Milton Select Board, brought to you from various living rooms and offices in and around the Milton area. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would rise if you're able and join me in saying the pledge, that would be great. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Our second item on our agenda is going to be a citizen speak. So I should say third, first is call to order. So for citizen speak, we allow 3 minutes per speaker and a total of 21 minutes to share the time. Since we are not in person today, we will be accepting raised hands from the attendees if anyone has a comment to make. Otherwise, we will move along. Okay, I see JD Wild has the hand up. If you could promote them, Nick. Can you hear us okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can. Go right ahead. I'll give you a warning that when you're 30 seconds away from time expiring.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Chair, members of the Select Board, and neighbors. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Joshua Wild, and I'm a local property owner and small business operator in Milton Village. I'm speaking not just for myself tonight, but as part of the growing number of local stakeholders who are deeply concerned about the proposed designation of a local historic district in our neighborhood, Milton Village. I'm presenting tonight in anticipation of this board hearing it. I saw it was on the agenda, so I thought I would share some thoughts with this board. I care about this community's character and take pride in maintaining my buildings and contributing to the unique fabric of Milton Village, but I must strongly oppose this proposal and urge this board to reject it for reasons that are economic, legal, and practical. Creating a new layer of regulation under a local historic district is not the right tool to preserve its history and would ultimately do more harm than good, especially for those small businesses and property owners who are the lifeblood of this neighborhood. I'm going to list a few reasons and then just give some comments to support it. So number one is that it undermines the economic vitality and growth. Milton Village is one of the few parts of town where small businesses can still afford to exist. The added costs, delays, and restrictions that come with a local historic district designation are simply not compatible with the economic realities of running a small business today. Adding a local historic district may sound like a harmless preservation effort, but the reality is that the LHD regulations impose long-term costs that disproportionately affect small property owners and independent businesses. An LHD empowers a local historic district to review and potentially deny any exterior changes visible from a public way. This means basic repairs and improvements will be subject to design review and board approvals. Property owners will face delays and added expenses, even for routine maintenance. Investors will think twice before putting capital into Milton Village because they'll be inheriting a bureaucratic process with uncertain outcomes. Facade changes, even minor ones necessary for tenant fit-outs, could be restricted, making it harder to attract and retain business. That's not preservation, that's stagnation. And for a neighborhood like Milton Village, these burdens are simply not economically sustainable. Number two is that this is a regulatory taking in disguise. When the government imposes restrictions that limit what a property owner can do with their property, especially without their consent, it raises some serious legal and constitutional concerns. While an LHD may not constitute a literal taking, it is functionally a partial deprivation of property rights. It limits the use and marketability of the property. It lowers the value by increasing renovation costs and regulatory risk, and it creates uncertainty for buyers, tenants, and lenders. This is particularly problematic when the designation is made without owner consent. Pushing forward in opposition to virtually
30 seconds remaining, Mr. Wild.
In the district undermines the legitimacy of the process. I'm going to fly through the last few notes. There's no demonstrated need for this designation. It's not under threat. There's no wave of demolition sweeping the neighborhood. There's no big box development looming. And the MBTA community zoning actually just excluded a majority of the area. The town already has tools such as the demolition delay bylaw. Number four, the proposal lacks stakeholder support and due process. No impacted property owners were consulted in any meaningful way in drafting this proposal. There's been no economic impact study, no benefit analysis.
That's 3 minutes, Mr. Wild.
Okay, sorry, thank you, I appreciate it.
No problem at all, but before you leave us real quick, could you just give us your address so we can have it in the record?
Sure, my full name is Joshua Wild. I live at 46 Milton Hill Road.
Thank you very much. And again, sorry to cut you off. We have to follow the rules here, but you made your point, I think, very clearly. So thank you.
Understood. Thank you again. I appreciate all of your time.
You got it. Next up with a hand, I see Mr. Morong. Nick, if you could promote him.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can. Mr. Morong, if you could just give us your name and address, and then I'll start your timer.
All right. My name is Matt Morong. I live at 136 Elliott Street. I am a trustee of the Affordable Housing Trust. I'm also vice chair of the Milton Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, and a member of AIM, better known as Affordable Inclusive Milton. February 16th of this year will mark 2 years since development proposals were received for the town farm site. I see that the trustees of the Governor Stoughton Trust are meeting tonight, and I'm speaking up to urge you to advance the development of the plan in front of you. It's rare that Milton sees any development proposal with affordability on this level, and we as a town should take advantage of it. The current proposal aims to offer units for residents earning 30 and 60% of area median income levels. This fact needs to be considered in comparison to the 40B developments underway in our town, which are required to offer affordable units for residents at or below 80% of area median income levels. It may surprise some people to see how high incomes that qualify for 40B affordable apartments are. The Truslow residence, which will hold a lottery this March, allows a single person household with an income of $92,650 to apply for a unit. This is a great thing. I've advocated here repeatedly for housing in our town that is open to people in this price range. Units that are affordable at this level are few and far between here. But there's a need for even greater affordability, and we can do more. Consider, on the other hand, what 30% of area median income means. It would mean that a single person who earns just under $35,000, or a family of 4 that earns just under $50,000, can have a place that they can afford in Milton. Milton is a wonderful place. It's packed with wonderful people and wonderful opportunities that you simply don't find everywhere. But the cost of entry here is enormous. It doesn't have to be that way. You, the select board, the Governor Stoughton trustees, have the opportunity to make a small but impactful dent in this. This is a unique project on a unique piece of land willed to you, the trustees of the Governor Stoughton Trust, to help our low-income neighbors. I urge you to take action and realize the intent of this gift. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Morong. And next up, we have grant makers for education. Mr. Milton, if you could promote them.
Good evening, and I apologize. I'm still logged into my work Zoom account. This is Beverly Ross Denny of 107 Columbine Road. I'm here this evening because on January 8th of 2026, Superintendent Phelan announced to the entire Milton school community a $2.1 million budget gap, and that the schools expected a reduction of 26 staff members to close this gap. I was pleased to hear during the January 21st, 2026 Milton School Committee Finance Committee meeting that the town has provided an additional $1.5 million to narrow that gap. I would like to personally thank you for thinking creatively to avert a potential crisis and a significant reduction in force. I'm here today because during that same meeting, the school committee and Superintendent Phelan have indicated that they need to build a reserve in 1 year. The number that I keep hearing repeatedly is a $700,000 reserve. And I'm here today because I've asked this question multiple times, not of you, but I'm hoping that you might be able to assist. Is this $700,000 reserve a mandate from the town or the state? If not, I hope that you can work with the schools to help them think creatively and fiscally conservative from the perspective that this reserve can be built over 2 to 3 years instead of 1. Just like we manage our own households, you build a reserve like many build their retirement funds, over time with a specific goal. Given my understanding of the school budget as a former school committee member, and that the budget when I left was $65 million, $700,000 is not going to save the day or break the bank. And I don't think that the opportunity to do what our town residents had voted for, which is level funding and a rollover budget, that it makes sense to do it now. I would normally ask this at a school committee meeting, but unfortunately, as I mentioned, I've not been able to get an answer. And I hope that you can help. Thank you, and I hope you all have a good evening.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands up, I will say this is the end of Citizen Speak. We will probably touch on most of these subjects throughout the course of the evening, but we do specifically respond to Citizen Speak at the end of the meeting as well. That said, I'm having to juggle multiple screens here. I think our first item, Mr. Milano, up is we have our town moderator, Ms. Dillon, to talk about the annual town meeting date.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so
Good
much
evening.
thank you so much for inviting me to be here. I'm Liz Dillon, town moderator, and I live at 79 Governors Road. I wanted to come before you all today to request a postponement of 2 days of the annual town meeting. I have a unmovable family obligation that will cause me to travel out of the country, and I fear I will not be back by Monday. So I'm just requesting a simple delay of 2 days. This is permissible under the Mass General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 9, which permits by a vote of the Select Board to move the annual town meeting up to and including June 30th. So clearly we're not getting to that, just a couple of days. So thank you very much for your consideration. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm happy to answer them.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Dillon. Mr. Milano, had anything to add from your side on the town in terms of availability of rooms and everything?
We had reserved the high school for, and I'm just trying to pull up my notes, I think Monday through Thursday of the first week, the week of May 4th, and then it was reserved for Monday through Wednesday for week 2, so that would be the 11th through the 13th. So that would provide 5 days that are booked right now in those first 2 weeks, 5 nights rather.
Have we asked if, I'm sorry, Mr. Daly, to cut you off. Have we asked Mr. Milano if there is extended on either the Friday the 8th or Thursday the 14th, if it's extendable to either of those dates?
We have not asked about Friday night. We can. And the 14th, it was one of the dates that was unavailable.
Okay, thank you. Not that I want to bring people in on Friday night, but feel like I should ask. Mr. Daly, did you have a question?
I just wanted to make sure. So what would be our start date with this push or the town meeting?
It would be the Wednesday, the first Wednesday of May.
I see May 6th, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And if we went longer, Nick, you're saying the 11th is available if we were the 6th, 7th, and 11th?
And the 12th and 13th, he said.
12 and 13th.
Just trying to find my specific dates they're not in front of me at the moment. I will, give me 1 second. I'll just confirm the dates that we have for you all.
Sure thing. And Mr. Wells, I see your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just think before we do anything like this, we need to publicize this to see the failing of the membership. It's unprecedented, and second, a Friday night. I think you really got to think long and hard about having a town meeting on a Friday night. Just my thoughts.
I would think shortly and quickly about the Friday night and determine it was a no, but I do feel like I obligated to see the availability. I do believe that we've done this before, though, Mr. Milano. Is that correct?
I believe the 2022 town meeting was moved to a date in June. If I remember this before I had started, but we had looked back at that. Looking at the schedule, so yes, confirmed and booked is May 6th, May 7th. Then the following week, May 11th, 12th, and 13th are all confirmed and booked. The 14th is not available. That's their Scholastic Honors Night. And then availability the following week, the 18th and the 21st are the next 2 nights that are available the following week. But under this, it would be the 6th, 7th, 11th, 12th, 13th that are available.
Other questions or thoughts from the members?
Do we need to speak with the town clerk at all about this? I understand Mr. Wells' point about speaking to the membership. I'm not sure how we would, if we wanted to get a poll or, a useful sample size of those in the body, but do we need to talk to the town clerk to get her thoughts? No.
Mr. Milano, have you spoken with the town clerk about this?
Yes, and town council. Availability starts to get harder the week of the 18th, particularly for town council. But we clear our calendars for this first 2 weeks in May. So we're able to handle those first 2 weeks without a problem.
It also occurs to me that every town meeting member gets the town warrant well in advance of town meeting, which has the start date on the front. We could probably also draw particular attention to the Wednesday start date. I would not want to start our town meeting without our town moderator, and I feel like a 2-day delay isn't too bad. But I'm willing to, if we want to think about this and then come back in February on our first February meeting, we could vote then, or we could think about it doing it now. Mr. Wells.
I think we should think about this. This is a big move. I know that Mr. Milano mentioned 22, but it was a very extraordinary townwide situation that made us change it to June. I just, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was, but I think we need to give a little bit of thought because, as Mr. Daly said, there's a lot of hands in the MTA that affect doing this. So I think we ought to take our time to think about this.
Okay, any other thoughts from the members?
My hesitation to delay is if we delay for 2 weeks, what is the action we're going to take in those 2 weeks to change anything? It seems that a 2-week delay limits the amount of time we have in terms of flexibility in changing. It also, I'm not sure what the purpose would be. So if we vote tonight and we then go out to the body, do we have the ability that if we get an overwhelming response that this does not work, does that give us time in our next meeting to, to rescind it? Not that we want to be wishy-washy or going back and forth, but just in terms of time, I don't see what the 2 weeks gets us. That seems like it would cost us more than we would really benefit from.
If I may, procedurally, another thing that could be
Ms.
done.
Dillon, yes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Chair Soul. Procedurally, another thing that could be done is that a temporary moderator could be elected to start the meeting to have a vote to postpone the meeting during the town meeting on Monday for 2 days, which seems a little bit, unnecessary to me, but that is a way to ask the people in town meeting. And if the majority of them voted to postpone it, I mean, they would have to come in on Monday, but procedurally, that is the way that would be done if you did not have a vote here. It's hard to ask the majority of town meeting members. We don't have all of those people's email addresses. I know that's something that the clerk has been working to do. We don't necessarily have the ability to contact all of those people. And even if they were to contact, we don't know that all of those people would see it, would respond, etc. So I would say that the best way other than here to vote on it, which the rules permit you to do, would be to have a temporary person take a vote and then have people come back 2 days later if they agreed to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Dillon. I would not be inclined to do that. I feel like if you ask everybody to come down to the school, you might as well just get started at that point. And I find myself in agreement, I think, with Mr. Daly on this one in terms of I'm not quite sure what a 2-week delay would do. But Mr. Wells, I see your hand up.
So I'm going to give a third alternative because I'm not inclined to vote in favor of this tonight. I think this is one of those things where you took the kettle out and you put it on the stove and it needs to simmer a little bit townwide before you take a decision. Just thinking from the benefit of how town meeting operates, if we started town meeting and we allowed the moderator to put all what I would call the non-controversial, like stagger the articles, so the things that would normally would be on like a consent agenda, have a temporary moderator get those through, and then in the second week when she's back, get into those other articles, which would usually be the meat of the agenda at the annual town meeting. Because let's say hypothetically we take a vote tonight to extend, and tomorrow morning we start getting pushback. And now we've already done it. I think we need to use time as an ally here. We need to use the form of communication to the multiple hundreds of town meeting members to like, this is an annual thing that has been in history well beyond my time, and just a thought of a different way to proceed here to make it a little bit easier for all of us, including the moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Ms. Hegarty, I see your hand up.
So I I kind of think we should just vote up or down tonight because I think I think we have a lot of things on our to-do lists that we need to dedicate time to. I think either it's a problem to do like a Wednesday, Thursday night, or it's not. I mean, in the absence of moderator Dylan, we would just have to have a substitute moderator. That's just my thought. But I would like to hear people's opinions on starting on a Wednesday night as opposed to a Monday. Like, is that the concern that people mostly have, is that people won't show up on a Wednesday, the town meeting members won't show up on a Wednesday night?
I don't have any concerns about that. Is that a question for other members?
Yeah, it's just a question for all of us.
I think with 4 months time, as we're talking about right now, I think it's plenty of time to let people know that we're moving it 2 days. You know, it's not 2 weeks, it's not 2 months. We're moving it 2 days. I think also long term, this kind of speaks to we should have a better way to communicate with everyone in town meeting. That we are currently worried about how do we get that note out. And folks probably won't know until the warrant goes out. So with that in mind, I don't think we can get a representative response if we wait. I would prefer we voted and just made a decision and know that it's Wednesday, Thursday, and possibly Monday in May. I don't think many folks are leaving town yet. School's still in session. Middle of the week, a 2-day move. I think that'd be okay. I think it's the same as if, if we had a snowstorm out of the blue and we had to move it a day or so. I don't think it would be intolerable. And also, I think we also don't want to have another situation where I think last town meeting, moderator Dylan had to step aside for a few days or a few articles. I think we would prefer to have our elected moderator there to start the meeting and lead us through it.
I agree. I don't see any other hands up, so I'll take a motion on this if someone wants to make a motion.
Hold on, John, you got something? John, anything? I don't want
But John, do you want to? Okay. Is there a motion to be made, or are we going to move along?
I motion to vote on moving our town meeting date for May 2026, 2 days.
To a start date of May 6th?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Do we have any other discussion on this? Before we go on to the vote, I will add a little bit of discussion, which is I do think that it's important that we communicate this as much as we can to as many folks as we can. So Nick, it would be great if we could check in with Sue and make sure that we get a preliminary note out to all current town meeting members, knowing that there will be new town meeting members after the April election. That will be on the ballot, and they'll be informed of it accordingly, I suppose, as they are elected to their new roles. But I think, communication is important on this. And I also think I agree with everything else. Ms. Dillon, we're discussing the vote right now, so I'm not sure it's appropriate for you to chime in, but if you have a quick item of fact.
I had an item regarding the notification, but I could keep it to myself. I know that I send a moderator letter out as well, in addition to the warrant, so I can put it in there as well. Excuse me.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful. And I'm sure that we will discuss this once or twice before May, again, to just remind folks that this would be the case. So motion's been made and seconded. There's no further discussion, so we'll go ahead and move to a roll call vote. Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
No.
Mr. Daly,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So this will be moved, and we will take appropriate action to inform folks accordingly. And hopefully we can get through town meeting in 2 days. You never know.
Thank you.
So moving on, thank you, Ms. Dillon, for joining us, and
Thank you very
enjoy
much.
the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Mr. Milano, I see we have Christine Stanton on our agenda. We're going to be getting a departmental update on the Council of Aging. Is that correct?
It is, and
Yes,
she's
it is.
joining now.
Good evening, Ms. Stanton. Can you hear us okay? You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And now we can see you as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thank you very much for having me in tonight to tell you all the good work that we're doing at the Council on Aging over on 10 Walnut Street.
We look forward to it.
So I do have just a few slides. I will try to be brief. Mr. Milano is going to assist me. Okay. So as you can see in this photo, the parking lot, this is a typical day at the Council on Aging at 10 Walnut Street. Our parking lot is at capacity and we have overflow parking on Walnut and Clapp Streets. Just goes to show the presence that we have developed in the community as the hottest place to be if you're over 60 years of age. Next, please. So brief overview of Milton's population. Residents over the age of 60 in Milton are 6,888, or roughly 24% of the town's population. And Milton as a town ranks in the top 25% of cities and towns in the state with the amount of older residents. The desire to age in place is overwhelming. Nearly 90% of adults want to age in place. We're finding that older people are hanging on to their single and two-family homes in town and do not want to leave Milton. They want to either stay in their homes or move to one of the older adult communities in town. Economic insecurity among older adults is shaped by the intersection of age and gender. 57% of older single women are facing economic insecurity. While only 4.7% of Milton's overall population lives below the poverty level, the highest rates occur in females age 55 to over the age of 80. Next, please. So our mission at the Council on Aging is to support and advocate for Milton residents over the age of 60 by providing programs, services, and resources that promote independent living and enhance their quality of life. And we fulfill this by what we call our 3 pillars of service. Number 1 would be our programming, which entails health and wellness initiatives, lifelong learning, special interest programs, and opportunities for social connection. Our second pillar is transportation, which we have a very robust, extensive program for medical transportation, as well as taking people back and forth to the center for community activities. And our third pillar is outreach, which we are oftentimes the first point of contact for people who need social services, who don't know where to turn. Either help with a loved one who has been diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's, or help getting SNAP benefits, Medicare, all those types of things. Next slide, please. Our membership today, we have 3,990 members in our database, and this is a 375% increase since fiscal year 20, I started in December of 2019, 4 months before COVID, with about 838 names on an Excel spreadsheet, and we have really expanded it by enhancing the staff. I have fabulous staff, very hardworking, very dedicated to the older residents in town. And we've been able to broaden our programming, transportation services, and outreach, which has contributed to the significant growth. Of that 3,990 number, 78% are Milton residents and 22% are from other communities. We do not restrict anyone from any city or town can become a member and participate in the activities that we offer. We do have some activities which we will give Milton residents priority registration to make sure that they have first dibs on things. And our insurance assistance and programs like that, we tend to direct people who are from Boston or Quincy or other surrounding towns to their own aging services department. We try to prioritize Milton residents, of course, first. And so we're presently registering, our average amount of new members is 40 people a month. So we have quite a lot of foot traffic coming into the Council on Aging. You can go to the next slide, please, Nick. Programs, you can see how we've increased the program offerings over the last 5-6 years. Now we offer roughly 40 programs a week. We have an average of 90 people coming in and out of our doors on a daily basis. And you can see the depth and breadth of the program offerings listed there. I have to give a credit to my wonderful outreach coordinator, Katie O'Brien, who also does the programming. And what she and I work very hard on is what people don't realize is we cover a population of about 40 years, people who are 60 years old, all the way up to our oldest member, who is 104. She's an active member. She comes every Monday morning and plays cards. Very sharp woman. And it's a joy to be able to have celebrated the last 4 birthdays with her. So our programming is everything from people coming in just to get out of the house on a Monday morning for a cup of coffee. Something that struck me was the comment that a participant made to me saying, you're the last person I speak to on Friday and the first person I speak to on Monday. And I said, wow, what an impact we're having on people's lives that are living alone and are coming for social connection and camaraderie. And it's just a wonderful feeling. Fitness classes take up many of our programs. That's another area where we are getting pickleball for people who are active, very active in their early retirement years. Up to chair yoga, which anyone can do, people coming back from an injury, all the way up to people who don't have as much, they're working on balance issues and that type of thing. So our cooking, I won't list all these, but you can see the variety that we try to offer to everyone, including day trips. And we've had a couple of overnight trips, which we ventured into that realm down to New York City to see the Rockettes this last holiday season, which was quite a successful trip. So things like that. Next slide, please. The next pillar is our transportation program, which we've had 120% increase since fiscal year 21. We gave us over 6,500 rides in FY25. We have 373 registered participants in our program. We concentrate our rides on trips back and forth to the Council on Aging, medical appointments, grocery shopping. We offer 2 grocery runs a week, and local errands within the town for people who need to get to the bank, post office, things like that. We were fortunate to receive $60,000 earmark from Senator Timilty in the end of 2024 to replace a wheelchair accessible van, which we have really been noticeably increasing our wheelchair transportation, because once somebody is wheelchair bound, they, their spouse or son or daughter or aide can't get them easily in and out of a regular car. So we're receiving more and more requests for wheelchair transportation. So I'm happy to, we have 2 wheelchair accessible vans, and I'm happy to be able to offer that to residents. Let's see. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. Outreach is our last pillar. We've seen 100% increase in requests. The colors really don't mean anything on this. It's just to differentiate the different services which we offer. One thing that was remarkable this fall was Medicare re-enrollment happens in October. And many Medicare Advantage plans were discontinued this year. And many people's PCPs stopped taking certain plans, especially Blue Cross. And we have insurance counselors on a volunteer basis who advise people on changing Medicare plans. And our phones just rang off the hook with people needing assistance in that arena. And it due to federal changes in the law. So that was something we really experienced, a high volume of calls and appointment taking on that. And it took us 5 years, but we were able to establish the AARP tax prep assistance program, which is for low and moderate income people. They get free tax preparation at the Council on Aging. Anyone can call us for an appointment. They'll be on Wednesdays starting in early February and ending late March. So we're happy to help in that arena. Very nice to be able to offer that. Next slide, please. Just a couple of stories that people have shared with us over the last couple of years. The COA has been a refuge for me during a very difficult period marked by health and family challenges. I cannot thank the caring, empathetic, and supportive staff enough for all they have done. The town is truly fortunate to have such a dedicated team. And another one, the COA is my lifeline from transportation, fitness classes, culture and art classes to meeting new people in town. I live alone and cannot drive due to vision impairment. The COA takes me to the grocery store each week and to my medical appointments, allowing me to hang on to my independence. I have belonged to senior centers in other states, and Milton is the absolute best. I'm thankful every day for the support and friendships the COA has given me. And you can go to the next slide, please. Just a few of our accomplishments. We've grown the membership 375% since I started. 309. So of that, I think I mentioned about 78% are Milton residents. So it's about 3,200 people, which is actually a little less than half of the entire 60 and over population in the town. So that's quite a feat to have touched half of the over 60 residents in town in one way or another. So I'm proud of that. We've reached new members who are younger, older adults, those who are newly retired, and who we've worked really hard, my staff and I, to dispel the myth that you are not old enough to go to the Milton Council on Aging or the senior center, which we don't use the word senior center. We use older adults and the Council on Aging. And once people know and get a feel for what we offer, they're there multiple times a week, and they're spreading the word to their friends in town. And it's a wonderful feeling. We still do get people that come in and say, oh, I'm not old enough to go there yet. So, okay, well, you're missing out. Where can you do a yoga class with a wonderful teacher for $5? So it's nice. We've leveraged social media. We've been featured many times in the Milton Times. We work with Milton Access TV. We've been in the Patriot Ledger, and just this past spring, we were featured on Chronicle. Shayna Seymour and her crew came in and did a feature on our Mahjong group, which Mahjong, as you probably have heard, has taken off with many younger people, but we have offered it for many, many years, and we have lessons, and we have a packed room with 30 people with a waiting list playing every Wednesday morning at the Council on Aging. We have over 17 weekly exercise classes, like I mentioned, that, everything. We've got circuit training with Milton Boot Camp, yoga. We have hiking in the Blue Hills, line dancing, Tai Chi, Zumba, mental health. We've started these programs, many of them from member requests, bereavement group, low vision support, meditation classes for stress and anxiety. That was very big after COVID. People had been cooped up, and those have all taken off. We've also started a photography group and a genealogy group. We have creative arts, tech support. Tech support is huge for older people. As you probably know, I mean, all your medical information is on a portal now, and it's hard to call your doctor's office. They want you to use the portal. So we have people coming in saying, I need help just getting on this. And we have a wonderful technology instructor who does specialized classes, and she also provides twice a month one-on-one 25-minute appointments with people. So that is a big help for older adults that you don't think of. Social isolation, we started a breakfast bunch program. Actually, you can go to the next slide, please, and it's mentioned there too. Thank you. We received a grant for $5,200 from the Massachusetts Council on Aging for our breakfast bunch initiative. We partnered with Stella's in East Milton to offer breakfast for up to 22 people. We started twice a month offering this. It would sell out every month. Everybody loves a hot breakfast and socialization, and to not have to drive over to East Milton, it's great. So that was quite a success. We were able to, we reapplied for the grant. We weren't awarded it, but we were able to fund it and charge a nominal fee to hold it once a month. So we continue to offer that. We got a second $2,500 grant also from the Massachusetts Council on Aging for a music and mindfulness class, which addresses anxiety, depression, social isolation, and loneliness. And this was quite an interesting program we offered, solo aging, and we were fortunate to get another $5,000 grant from the Mass Council on Aging. Solo aging, we partnered with a board-certified patient advocate who has developed a curriculum really on what you need to do if you're aging solo. And aging solo doesn't even mean you're a single person living alone with no spouse, no kids, whatever. You could have a spouse who is ill. You could have a child or children who live out of the country or live in other parts of the country. So when we explained it, we really, we had a 5-part series in person at the Council on Aging. We would get 50 to 60 people. We had 65 people registered for the program. So 50 to 65 people attended that in person. And then we partnered with the Milton Public Library to offer 5 sessions in the evening on Zoom. We got 80 to 100 attendees on that from all across the country. So it is quite an interesting dynamic which is happening. And out of it formed friendships and camaraderie, and people who would meet on their own on Zoom to share ideas. And one thing I took away from that the instructor said was, think about who would be your 3 a.m. phone call. So it really opened your eyes to what people are dealing with and living with. So it was quite fascinating, and we're proud of that series. We have 62 active volunteers, which we've really increased, and the volunteers support all of our programs and events. You can go to the next slide, please. I mentioned the tax aid program. Last year, we had 130 participants. We work with the Milton Health Department in their food insecurity. We have a take one, leave one shelf. And we also have a donation area for the Milton Food Pantry. And I already mentioned we collaborated with the library for the solo ages. We also have a quarterly book club where Will Adamczyk, we're thankful for his participation to come and run that once a quarter with us. So we're thrilled to work closely with the library and the health department. Transportation, I have applied for the MassDOT Community Transit Grant program. We've been denied the last 2 years. Last year because of noncompliance with MBTA communities. I applied for the 3rd time this year, and I hope we get it. This is to replace an aging 14-passenger, well, an 8-passenger bus that we have, which is a 2015 that has a lot of rust and needs to be replaced. And I've applied for a 14-passenger just because of the increase that we're seeing in our usage and the ability to have day trips and things like that. So we should hear that hear the results of that in the spring. And I mentioned the $60,000 earmark, and we did buy that van. Next slide, please. And just our goals: promote aging in place and independence, enhance the programs and offer wellness programs, improve our transportation, strengthen outreach and communication. Next slide, thank you. Now, this is apples and oranges, but I think it's fascinating. So the COA budget is a little over $400,000, and the COA represents 24% of the town's population. And my budget is 1/4% of the annual town's budget. And so the schools are $73 million and or almost 17,000 per student, and we spend $59 per older adults. Now I know it's apples and oranges, but I just think it's something to just consider as we are helping almost a quarter of the residents in the town, and obviously not to the extent that the schools do. I'm not saying that at all, but I just thought it was an interesting fact. And next slide, thank you. So the request, as you know, everything was level funded requests. I had previously asked for an assistant director position and a full-time administrative assistant. Both have not been able to be filled. I have, let's see, 4 full-time staff people and 2 part-time admins, 6 part-time van drivers. So some of my full-time staff, we like to have evening programs to get in touch with people who work during the day and can't come to our programs. And so we don't get overtime or comp time for that. So that's just something we'd like to expand, and I will work with the town to try to work on that. We could use some new desks. Our furniture is original to the building, and it's actually what people are getting injured opening drawers. So that's just something else that I'd like to get when possible. And I did put in a request of the FY27 capital budget in case I do get denied for the bus replacement, if the capital committee would consider replacing the bus for us, because it is long overdue. And Consolidated, we're in support of Consolidated's COA roof replacement. We're actually having an issue with ice forming and causing sort of a hazard in front of the building now with the storm. It's very icy, so that's something that we are in support of them doing the roof when they can. And last slide, please. I hope I didn't take up too much time. The building and parking lot are now at capacity, a clear sign of the strength of our programs and the community's enthusiastic engagement. Our demand for services continues to grow rapidly. My dedicated staff works tirelessly every day to meet these needs and sustain our momentum to deliver high quality, impactful services. Innovative programs, strong partnerships, thoughtful outreach. We remain committed to enhancing quality of life and ensuring long-term sustainable support for our community. And I thank you very much. As I said, I hope I didn't take too long, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stanton. That was a really thorough look at the Council on Aging, the incredible work that you do. Let me turn it over to the members for comments or questions. It was a thorough presentation, as I said, so there may not be that many questions. I will say from my own experience, and Mr. Wells, sorry, I started a thought, so I'll finish it. You mentioned Mahjong, the increasing popularity of Mahjong. My parents started playing Mahjong a couple of years ago. They are absolutely addicted to it. And my boss, who is in my other job, my full-time job, who's the dean of the School of Public Health at Yale, has said the first thing that she plans on doing when she retires is to learn how to play Mahjong because of the benefits that it has for the still young brain, as I don't want to say the senior brain, but for
right.
anybody's brain really. So thank you very much. And I see the members have their hands up now, so I'll turn over to Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Christine. So, for full disclosure, when I joined this board 9 years ago, you remember our staff. You worked in our office long before you. Hard to believe you've been gone that long, that now you've clearly immersed yourself into your role as the director of the COA. So, just a couple of points. One is, thank you for advocating so strongly for those that you represent. You know, when you make reference to the percentage of seniors in this town and the percentage of the budget versus the schools, it's true the schools have a huge advocacy and but one of the things I like to remind people, given in my 41st year serving this town, which I've said too much lately this year, is that the people who are your advocates, your constituents, are the people who, to me, as a young rookie cop, were the ones advocating for the schools, standing out, holding signs for overrides, new schools, so many different issues, and so many different amenities that this town enjoys today. And I'm never one who loses sight of that. So I truly want to say thank you again for how strongly you advocate. You are 100% correct. As you know, I've been in your center many times on many different occasions, and joy is a word that I would use when you think about how much you enhance the quality of life for so many people in so many ways. And in this world today, where we're all about me instead of we, you do that in such a strong way, and that's truly a benefit to this community. So thank you again. I'll be very proud for your staff, everyone, from the drivers to the volunteers to the board directors, every single person that works so hard each and every day to make the life. And so thank you, Mr. Chair. That will end my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Ms. Haggerty.
I just wanted to thank you, Christine, for your for your slides. I thought they were great. And I like the framing, and you gave a really sharp, concise presentation. It's really impressive how you've been able to quadruple the program in the short time that you've been there. And when I look at the strategic focus that you have, it doesn't surprise me that you've been able to do that. My question is, so you mentioned that you have an operating budget of $400,000, and my question is how much has there been any growth in that budget in the almost 6 years now since you've been there?
There has. I have been able to add a line for programming, which my board strongly advocated for. Prior to my arrival, the town didn't pay for any programming. It was paid, we would pay for it but by charging a nominal fee as well as out of our revolving fund. So I do have a programming line now. I think it's $10,000. So that's been helpful. And what else did I added a line for training and education so that we're able to attend some conferences where on the national level that I think you can only go to the state conference so many times and get sort of, ideas kind of regurgitated. So we're looking at what more of the country is doing. And I also want to say I could not have done this without my staff. I have such a dedicated staff. Katie O'Brien, who I mentioned, does an absolute phenomenal job with the programming. And Bev Sutton in the transportation, and Joe Murn, of course, the driving. So I'm just blessed and really fortunate to have a dedicated staff, and we're always welcoming new ideas and trying to look outside the box.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Daly.
Hi, thank you, Christine. Again, I'll just echo everyone's statements, but thank you for all the work you've done, and happy to support you in any way that we can. The question I had, and you mentioned it in one of your later slides, was about volunteers. I think you said you have about 60. I just want to know if you are looking for more, and do you have any sort of partnership or connection with some of the younger people in town who may want to come in and, learn to play Mahjong? I'd love to learn how to play.
So I've tried over the years to develop a relationship with the high school and Pierce Middle School for community service and things like that. And what we've run into is the fact that they're in school when we're operating our program. So there's not a lot of opportunities for them to come over and help. We have a very successful shred day that I've reached out to them to help organize that. But that's really, I'm still working on forging some opportunities with the schools. I think it's great to have intergenerational programming that people really can see what an older person. We did partner with Milton Academy on their community service day to we had a tech support day where they came in and helped older people with their iPads and phones and things like that. But our volunteers tend to be people in Milton, older people who have free time during the day. So that's what we run into. But like I did mention, volunteers we've had come forward to start some of our special interest groups, like the low vision group. We put the word out, hey, we're looking for someone to facilitate this. We actually had an overwhelming response of people who had backgrounds in nursing and Braille and had worked at schools for the blind. So we have that group has grown. So a lot of things happen sort of spontaneously like that. One thing that we're really working hard to do is to establish a men's group. We need more men volunteers. If there are any gentlemen out there who want to come in and run a coffee hour weekly or a couple of times a month, around sports or history or anything like that, I'd be really happy to talk to them. Our men's groups that we have offered in the past have been well attended, but no one really steps up to run it. So that's where, if anyone out there is interested in that, we could definitely use a volunteer there.
There's an opportunity. Thank you, Christine.
Mr. Zoll,
Mr. Driscoll, please.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand.
That's quite all right.
I'm not too good with computers. Christine, I just want to thank you, and it's a great place. I go by it a lot, and it's always full. I'm not admiring the people parking on the lawn a lot, because I do take pride in the lawn there. So if you could get some type of notice to stay off the lawn, I'd appreciate it. But it's always full, and you're on a great program. And I'm too old to join at this point in my life. So you did a great presentation. I'm glad you're on board, and it's a very good thing for all the elderly in Milton. But thank you.
When you decide to take a step back from all the hard work you do for the town, please come up and join us. Maybe you can run the special interest group. But thank you. And thank you all for your report, your support, I should say. And I really appreciate it. And thank you.
Christine, thank you again for coming in. You did not go on too long. It was chock full of information. I think it's really important for folks in the town to know what an absolute jewel we have at the Council on Aging, and that includes the leadership and all of the staff there. So thank you again for your work and for your time this evening.
Thank you all very much for what you do for the town.
Thank you. Wonderful. So our next item up, I'm sorry, I'm just juggling screens again. We have Mr. Milano, we have Mr. Loeffler from the local historic district who's going to be coming in and speaking about the creation of a Milton Village Historic District. And I see him in the, yes, all right.
Joining now.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
We can, Mr. Loeffler.
Loeffler. There's
Loeffler, sorry.
Plenty. Larry Loeffler, chairman of the local historic district study committee. I live at 96 Cliff Road here in Milton. I met with Nick Milano with our volume 2 of our proposal to name Milton Village as our local historic district. But before I get into that and the wonderful suggestions that were given to us, I wasn't able to meet with my committee because of the snow yesterday, but we have a meeting set for next Monday, and we'll come back and give you an update as needed. I wanted to address some of the inaccuracies of one of the townspeople speaking. When we had we've been at this for 4 years, and we did an exhaustive study of all the types of historic districts. There's federal, state, and local. So I just want to focus on the local. We have both federal and state local historic districts in our town that we care very much about. Only about a third of the towns in Milton have local historic districts. So that is a different designation, and it comes with some support and some benefits as well as some structure to it. But the way that our bylaw is written, it doesn't curtail business. And in the final proposal, we'll know, according to the way that this is finished, what the approval process is. And so I have personally spoken to all of the town property owners in this area. And over the 4 years, we've been very active with it. But The notes that we received from Nick, and I'm not sure, Nick, who else is on here. It's just initials. It really doesn't matter. Everything that was suggested clarified some of the questions that we had. The specific question that we have is our district study committee is studying this. And the reason why Milton Village was chosen is because there is no protection for that area. And Milton Village is the original part of Milton. It's where Milton started. It is a historical spot in so many different ways and unprotected. We don't want to curtail business. We've been as a town for many, many years, and we hope that with this protection that we can allow the members and the commercial owners to grow over the next 200 years. So there is a voice, and over the next couple of months before the town meeting, there will be more public meetings, and we'll address further the issues. But there's about 160 towns, local historic districts over the 300. As I said, about a third of the towns have them. It has not been proven to be a curtailment of industry. It has helped raise the property values in each of the communities. So I just wanted to say that because what was said before was not as accurate as it should be. Do I have any questions from the people? Nick, does the committee, the select board, have a copy of this current version?
Yes, I provided the report
Okay.
that the committee prepared, as well as the draft warrant article with the comments from town council that you're referring to.
Yeah, the comments are great, and we're going to get right on that. We have a meeting scheduled for next Monday, and also a public meeting. So if Mr. Wild would like to come to that, we'd love to hear his further input and correct some of the inaccuracies in his thinking about it.
Do I have questions from the members for Mr. Lawfer?
Oh boy.
Mr. Wells, I see your hand.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So my thought is at this point, Mr. Lawler is correct in that this is the true historic district of our town. Everything from Walter Baker Chocolate
Mr. Wells, we are losing your sound a little bit.
whole area, the commercial shipping that went on. Most people aren't even aware of it. Back in the 1800s, the first police station, the Hood plant, so many things. The Red House. I found a picture not too long ago of what is now the, not Caldwell Bank, but the building beside it on the corner of Wharf and Adams was actually a bank in the 1920s, and it's a Brinks photo of them bringing the money from Boston to Milton to put into that bank for the first time. I think they've done so much work on this issue for us. I think that we're at the point we should let this go forward to town meeting and let the town meeting have a voice on this. That's really my only comment on this, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Just so you know, Mr. Wells, we did lose your audio just for a brief moment during your comment. So I'm not sure if your Wi-Fi may be a little acting up or something. Just wanted to let you know that.
Could I just add one more
Please,
thing
Mr. Lawfer.
that wasn't mentioned? Because of the Neponset River, when our country went from an agricultural to a more industrial thing, the first area in the country that used water power was right here in Milton. And that was what spawned the industrial age and shoe manufacturing and all of the different things. That happened here in Milton Village. It's just amazing how much history is there.
Yes, I agree with you, Mr. Loffer. I'm always struck at how much you can learn about this town, and literally every stone seems to have an incredible story. Mrs. Hegarty.
Thank you, Mr. Laffer, for joining us tonight. My question on the process to date is, so I know there's been a committee studying the area, the history. Can you provide some more information, or maybe I missed it in the select board packet, but I didn't notice any information regarding like the number of public meetings or any surveys that have been distributed and the results of such surveys.
The town should have those. We did a number of surveys online where we solicited the public. We were only mandated to have one public meeting. We had 3 public meetings because we wanted to hear from everyone. And there was another part to your question that I missed.
No, it was just, I was just wondering like where the information would be regarding public feedback, but I think you just answered it.
Yeah, but we've also been in the newspapers as well. It's been covered by the Milton Times and some of the other local outlets.
Mr. Daly.
Mr. Loffer, thank you for sharing. I understand this is already going towards be put forth at town meeting, correct?
Yeah, well, yes, and we're trying to get all of the language corrected and in conjunction with what the state demands.
If you don't mind, could you tell me how you see this working in conjunction with the planning board? Perhaps how Milton would be different or how Milton would be in line with. So if the planning board approves some development, does the historic committee have to weigh in? Are they what if they're in opposition? How would you see that working?
Thank you, Mr. Daly. That's an excellent question. And we are following the planning board. Milton Village was actually brought to us by the then chairman of the planning board when we originally started, and they thought when we did the original overlay for that area that we should follow that. So there are a number of things in our current bylaw that have to be adjusted because planning has changed in the last year. So we will make those adjustments as well. We will be following their guidance.
Thank you. Mr. Wells, Mr. Daly, are you done with your question or do you have another one?
Good, Mr. Wells.
Okay, Mr. Wells.
I was just going to follow up on exactly that. So the work created by this committee comes as a result of the PUD that was created by first the.
Oh,
Mr. Wells, we've lost your audio.
Oh, well, it's one of those days. Snow on the lines. Can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
Okay, so there's a lot of historical work that went in to get them to where this is. And I think that given the PUD that was voted by town meeting created, the work of this committee only goes hand in hand with anything that will take place there in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Mr. Milano, yes, I was just going to ask you if you could remind us where we are in the process here.
I was going to add a comment. In terms of the process,
Please.
the Historic District Study Committee has submitted this warrant article. As Mr. Loffer noted, there are comments from town council that I've distributed with him that they had planned to try to address last night. I would view a lot of those comments as more clarifying than kind of substantive in terms of substantively changing the overall purpose of the article. It's suggesting some tweaks in terms of membership to match some formatting structurally. So I think structurally and contextually what you have in front of you is the creation of a local historic district in Milton Village with all the restrictions that and processes that come along with it. the changes that I think are being discussed here are not going to dramatically alter the overall warrant article. And
Thank
then
you,
I
Mr.
just
Lawler.
wanted to
No, that's helpful.
clarify, just so
Go
we're
ahead.
talking in kind of the same language. So anything that would be approved by the planning board in Milton Village under that overlay would be zoning approval. But any project, construction project, renovation project, whether are covered by the Milton Village overlay or within the local historic district parameters and area, would require also approval from the local historic district. So I just want to make sure we there are two separate boxes and two separate check boxes that would have to be met. Planning board would be zoning approval, and then projects would also need a certificate of approval from the local historic district commission to proceed. So you'd need to satisfy both processes in order to move forward.
Thank you. That's very helpful. So I think from where we are right now, Mr. Lawford, I know you're, as you can see, our committee also today had our meeting slightly disrupted from the weather. So knowing that yours also did, I think what might be a good idea here for us is to see what how the town council changes are accepted by your committee, have the fresh version sent to us. I really find myself in agreement with Mr. Wells on this to allow town meeting to have the opportunity to weigh in on this. So I think for now, there's no action needed from the board unless somebody else feels differently. But we'll stand by to receive the final version and review it. And the select board will, I'm sure, like we always do, take votes on both in terms of having things on the warrant as well as our position on those warrant articles. Does that sound right to everybody?
Can I just ask a quick clarifying question?
Please.
So the comments that Darren made to the draft warrant article, are they going to materially affect the language that is currently in there?
I would say the overall concept and requirements are not going to be changed. There might be a little bit of tweaking in terms of who does what, but I wouldn't view them as material changing the warrant article at this time.
Okay.
And just to, I might ask one more question. I guess this is either for Mr. Lawfer or Mr. Milano. In terms of the existing businesses that are there already, is the passage of something like this, does this require them to change anything about what they have in terms of their storefronts, signage, or is everything that exists as of it is today is going to be grandfathered in?
Correct. It's only for new construction or alterations to what's there today.
Okay.
And it will continue to follow other guidelines set by the town. For instance, signage.
That signage is going to be something we'll be talking a lot about this spring. So
Yeah.
great. Okay, thank you very much. Any further questions for Mr. Lawfer? Mr. Lawfer, thank you so much for coming in and spending some time with us. And thank you.
Thank you,
I know
Chairman.
This has been a labor of love for you and your committee. So we appreciate all the work and dedication you have for the town and its legacy.
Well, I appreciate that. And one thing that we're going to do between now and town meeting is actually reach out, even if we have to go and speak to all of these people. So everyone gets a chance to understand that we want to protect and grow the town, not diminish and put guidelines in front of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, Mr. Milano, I believe we have the annual town meeting warrant. Do we need a motion to open the warrant or?
Not at this time. We can.
Okay.
You can close the warrant at the end. Mr. Chair, all I was going to do here is describe what has changed since the select board last met in terms of warrant articles.
Yes, please.
All right. So I'm just trying to pull up the packet here. As I had alluded to at our prior meeting, the Fire Station Building Committee is working towards a recommendation on its warrant article for discussion at town meeting in May. At their most recent meeting last week, last Tuesday, the Fire Station Building Committee voted to submit a warrant article that would request $1 million in design funds for the renovation of the existing Atherton Street Fire Station. So the committee has been going through a discussion over whether to build a new building, to renovate the existing building, to expand upon the existing building. And the committee at the end of the day has settled on requesting $1 million to renovate the existing structure and to expand it. So their preference would be for a solution that provides up to a total of 5 bays. Currently, the station has 2. The base renovation design that had been previously worked on adds 1 new bay to the right of the 2 existing bays if you're looking at the station. The committee is interested to try to grow that to a sum of a total of 5 bays to provide some additional full-sized apparatus bays for apparatus equipment, apparatus storage, I should say. The committee did discuss that, the form and function of the additional 2 bays is they're not wedded to, and want to understand a little bit more whether they're attached to the building physically or if it makes sense to have a detached standalone kind of storage structure behind the renovated station. So we have invited Chief Madden and Chair Brian Walsh to the select board meeting on February 10th to give a more thorough update. But I wanted to provide that now. So the request of town meeting in spring would be $1 million to complete that design, marching towards a fall town meeting where the town meeting would be asked to appropriate the balance to build the project. That will also trigger a ballot question vote to be a debt exclusion, and there's a state election in the fall. So that would be their anticipated timeline is May town meeting, appropriation to finish the design, come back in fall town meeting to appropriate the full amount of project for the building of the projects alongside a ballot question in November. Alternatively, depending on timelines, they could come back in spring of 27 for those 2 actions, but the preference right now and the track right now is working towards fall. Happy to take any questions at the moment, but as I noted, the chief and the chair will be in the next select board meeting to talk about it in greater detail.
Any immediate questions for Mr. Milano? Mr. Wells?
No, not a question, more of a comment. Part of the complexity here is this is one of the oldest buildings in town. There's a lot of concern, particularly from as much as possible that existing structure.
We're still having a lot of problem with your audio, Mr. Wells.
Modern, mission-driven facility to it. What we have is that we have enough land there to be able to do this, so that's a good thing. So I just want to add that additional comment as to why this is a little more complex than, say, East Milton was, because it's a brand new modern structure on a standalone site. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. And just to add, we're still having a little trouble with your audio, just FYI. Other questions or comments for Mr. Milano? I think for myself, seeing no other hands, I'll probably save my questions and comments for the chief and the committee chair. So I think we can move on. Other new items in the articles in the warrant.
The planning board is meeting Thursday where they're going to pick up the conversation around the sign bylaw. They've made a lot of headway on that, continue to work with the assistance of Town Council Carolyn Murray from KP Law on that. So we don't have it in final form. Ideally, we will at the conclusion of their meeting on Thursday. The Historical Commission had alerted to me to a potential warrant article that I had failed to share with the board prior to this meeting, but they've been looking at the definition of demolition and the lack of a definition of demolition in our bylaws. We do have a demolition delay ordinance, but demolition is not defined. So it's been treated as requiring or meaning total demolition of an entire structure. The Historical Commission is interested in potentially adding a definition of demolition, which expands that to mean alterations and certain kind of changes beyond just a total demolition and of a building in its entirety. The Historical Commission is meeting tonight, so I'll know at the end of their meeting tonight just to confirm that they wanted to move this article to the Maytown meeting. So they had submitted it, but I just wanted to share that, and we'll have a final determination, if not already, then later this evening. And then that leaves the potential warrant article as listed on the agenda regarding the prohibition on recreational marijuana. And Mr. Chair, I'll turn that back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Milano. Yes, I had asked Mr. Milano and General Counsel for their opinions. Having had some discussions on this committee with regarding the budget and the income of the town, and having seen the number of communities that are benefiting from having access to the 3% surcharge of having a medical marijuana dispensary or a commercial marijuana dispensary. It occurred to me that it was almost 10 years ago that the town took a preemptive vote to ban these establishments prior to them being legal open. I believe it was, if memory serves, it was 2017, and the first commercial licenses were given out to start in 2018. I understand that at the time there was a lot of trepidation around this topic and concern about what dispensaries might mean for towns and cities. In the intervening years, I think we have seen that many towns that we like to compare ourselves to do have access to this revenue, which in many towns that are our size is $150,000 to $300,000 of revenue a year, just on the 3% surcharge that you can have as a town, where there's obviously benefits in terms of employment as well. So now that we have more information, I felt like it might be the right time for this town to have a discussion about whether this was a source of revenue we would consider opening up again for the town of Milton. Given that, I asked Mr. Milano and General Counsel to provide some initial language, which is pretty straightforward. It's just a strike through of the bylaw. And then Mr. Milano, you can jump in here if I'm incorrect, but my understanding is that in the absence of any particular plan, there would actually be sort of open for any commercially zoned area to have a dispensary. And so my thinking is that there may want to be some thought put behind where we would allow dispensaries to be placed as a town. We may not want to consider them same as any commercial site. So given that, my thinking on this, and I'm sorry for the long soliloquy, but I wanted to give everybody my thinking on this. And with conversation with Mr. Milano, and I'll turn it back over to him in a moment. My suggestion for the bylaw would be that it be enacted starting on January 1st of next year, which would give the town plenty of time to put together a fall article from the planning board about where we might want to zone for these types of establishments, if indeed the town decides that this is a direction that they want to go in, which they may not. And I guess my final comment on this is it would be a 2/3 passage, I believe, because it's a zoning bylaw. So it's quite a significant hurdle to cross, but I do think that many people in this town have a different conception of both this industry as well as our financial state, and may have a different idea about whether they want access to those funds or not. Mr. Milano, anything that I didn't get there?
No, that's right. Just it by rescinding the prohibition on establishments, they then become allowed. So that's why, as Mr. Zoll noted, if there want to be further regulations on them, they would need to take place via a separate bylaw amendment, whether it happen at the same time or a later date. But they just become allowed is once there's no longer a prohibition on the books. These uses are allowed, similar to how other retail shops might be regulated.
So I know this is probably the first time, definitely the first time that some of you have heard this before. So I would be very open to questions or comments or feedback on this bylaw or the concept of this bylaw. Means everybody thinks it's a great idea, I guess. Mr. Daly.
So what's before us right now? Is it to agree to create a new bylaw to prevent the prohibition, or to rescind the prohibition and then have a conversation about zoning? I just want to know where we are in the process, or what the process would be before I said a little bit about my opinion.
Mr. Milano, I think we don't have to agree tonight. I think we can agree on the 10th of February if we wanted to put this article in. So from my perspective, I thought this would be a good time to start discussion around this potential article, but not necessarily to take a vote unless people were so inclined.
And
Also,
then if I could, just to the question, I
Please.
think what the warrant article would look like, and it's not drafted, but what it would do is say to strike anywhere in the zoning bylaw, the general bylaw, where it says that recreational marijuana uses are prohibited. In doing so, if that's all it says, they would then be allowed. So the second half of the question is, now you want to, if you want to zone for it and adjust that zoning even more so, then you would need a zoning bylaw amendment to further zone for them. So that could be done. That would require an additional warrant article at this town meeting or a subsequent town meeting. So it's sort of a two-step process, but this action would allow them essentially as of right where retail is allowed. And we would obviously need to work through this a little bit more, town council, but it's the general concept.
so if we voted to rescind the prohibition until we had zoning about specificity, anywhere that retail is zoned for now, they could, dispensary could be built.
Yes, so that would largely mean any of the business districts, as I believe that's where like medical marijuana facilities would be allowed as well. That's with a special permit, but the zoning would allow it as a retail use in a business district at that point.
Ms. Hegarty, you have your hand up.
Is Mr. Daly finished? Okay. So my initial thoughts are that I definitely have 1,000 questions. On the one hand, we do need more commercial revenue, and on the other hand, marijuana use and alcohol use, it's a problem for a lot of families in town. And I would say that if we rescinded the prohibition, I would really prefer that we have well thought out and well studied regulations on how to manage this use, because it really is not a joke. I mean, this can ruin lives. And I know we have liquor stores in town. I don't want to sound like a total prohibitionist, but at the same time, this is in my opinion a big move to make. So I would really want to make sure that we understand how this is impacting similar towns. Are there types of commercial areas that's not well suited for? How does it look? How does it feel? How do they prevent kids from getting access? You can't prevent everybody's exposure, but and I do trust that if we do go there, we will think it out very closely, but I just have to put it out there. I think a lot of people think that pot's not a big deal, but it is. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. Mr. Daly, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I gotta say, my initial reaction is, and again, I'm not a teetotaler or necessarily a prohibitionist, but I am incredibly hesitant to allow dispensaries, even with the potential revenue generated, which I think we'd have to see if it's still the same as when, these things kind of came online in 2018, because now I feel that, there are so many around, and thinking of the potential places where where they could pop up, uh, I'm not sure the potential revenue generation in this way is enough to outweigh what I'm looking at as some of the negative impacts. And I'm not against folks using. Um, it's legal, and in some ways it's very similar to alcohol, but I'm really hesitant to say that we're going to have a dispensary somewhere in Milton limits right now. But it's going to take a lot of discussion and talk. I'm even coming off of us just having that long discussion with our public health folks about, alcohol on town land.
Mhm.
This is something that this is a this is a potentially big storm and discussion for us to have in town.
Yeah, I agree, and that is indeed why I suggested it, and I think it's a conversation we should be having publicly. So, Mr. Wells, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me begin by saying I'm a hard no on this, and I'll give you a little bit of historical. I was police chief when the select board at the time made the decision, and I don't believe, Mr. Monahan, I think you need to, I think we took, not only did the board take a prohibition on it, they opted not in, and I think they also opted in, you may need to look, that even if at some point, if the town voted to approve the commercial sale of cannabis in the town, that it would be restricted to the same zones that the town designated for like adult entertainment. You had to have certain, I believe it's the same path, the same locations, but and to my colleagues' points about being clearly, I come from the public safety world. I understand, cannabis is legal today in Massachusetts, but if you talk to, and I sit in many hearings, both in public safety, if you listen behind the scenes, and I'd be very interested to see where the coalition is. I mean, if they're if they were that much on having no alcohol on the deck in East Milton, I'd love to see where they are on this. There's, as much as it has been a commercial profit for the communities that do have them, there are a lot of long-term lingering issues that continue to grow in this Commonwealth each and every day associated with the legalization and use of cannabis-related products. And while I get the commercial, expanding commercial use, the previous, and I know I'm being long here, the previous speaker who's advocating so strongly for the PUD in the village, things of that nature, but this is a totally different animal than opening a new restaurant in Milton. I understand your sentiments, but I would be a very hard no at this point. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Any further thoughts? Well, I appreciate the opportunity to start the conversation. I think it's an important one for us to have as a town. I do think people have a much clearer understanding of where we are financially as a town than we did maybe 10 years ago. And I think we have a better understanding of this way this industry works. I think if the decision is not to go forward with that, that's totally fine. But I do think it's a discussion that we should be having publicly. And I would welcome anyone to come to public comment. and make a statement. And I'm sure that we will get some emails from some folks as well with some thoughts, and I look forward to those. Mr. Milano, I don't have anything further to say on this, so I can move on to the next article if everyone's okay with that. Great. Mr. Milano.
I don't have anything further on the annual town meeting warrant. We're working with town council to fine tune a couple of the other articles, but conceptually, they're all unchanged. So any final tweaks to wording, we'll try to have fully approved by this board at our next meeting on the 10th. But that is the lay of the land, and I'll provide an update as soon as I hear from the Historical Commission on that outstanding article.
Thank you very much. And so we don't need to close the warrant, do we?
No, the warrant is been closed since the board
Right.
had set a date for earlier this
It
month.
remains closed. Then item number 8 is the fiscal year 27 budget. Mr. Milano, I'll turn it back over to you.
I think I'm deferring to Ms. Haggerty first.
Oh, Ms. Haggerty, please. Sorry.
So, the select board and school committee are continuing to collaborate on closing the budget gap that, that Mr. Milano has spoken of in previous meetings. We're getting closer to a resolution on FY27. But in this process that Member Daley and Mr. Milano and I have been participating in, it's clear that we're gonna have to make sure that we figure out a plan for FY28 and 29. Over the so the solution that we're looking at for 27 is not it's not necessarily repeatable, and we're going to continue to have to work to sort of land the plane here on the structural gap. We are hoping to have a more firm proposal by February 10th, and we're having a meeting with select board, school committee, warrant committee. We're shooting for February 4th and budget coordination committee on February 9th. So I just wanted to share some of that commentary before Mr. Milano provides an update. And also too, I'll ask Member Daley if I've forgotten anything or if we have anything else that we'd like to share.
I don't think anything's been forgotten. I know, I assume Nick's going to give his update on where his last meeting with the superintendent as well as assistant superintendent Katie Blake. I do want to take the moment, if I could, Chair Zoll, just to use this for public comment response from Miss Denny, where she asked about the reserves and the 700,000 that was proposed to be saved, and if that was a direction from the select board. That has not been a suggestion from the select board. We actually are encouraging the schools to use more of their proposed reserve funds. In one of the more recent school committee meetings, it was stated that they have a goal of getting to $3.1 million in reserve funds. And I will say, to their credit, the discussion was, should they move off the initial target of doing that within, I think, 2 to 3 years, or moving that target to 5 to 7 years? I think we have been in a state of saying that to build those reserves less aggressively would certainly be, in our opinion, much more fiscally responsible given the times that we are in. So that has been presented as a suggestion to the schools and the school committee, that they build those reserve funds more slowly and use the funds that are available for their current needs. I think Town Administrator Milano has presented our suggestions or early suggestions for use of free cash, as well as the places that we can support the schools. And we have hoping to have another meeting next week before our joint committee meeting. And hopefully we're getting there. The numbers are getting closer. But I think also this is not about 27. We all know this is also about 28, 29, and 30, and potentially us having a conversation about, if there is going to be another override, what year does that happen? And how do we not only communicate with the community, but plan for that along the way as well? So that's kind of where we stand.
Thank you very much for the report. Mr. Wells, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I changed computers. So a couple of points. And first, thank you to both my colleagues, Member Daly and Member Hagerty, because this is your first year on the board and you're thrust into this situation. So a couple of historical things here. As you know, Mr. Zoll, in the 2 years prior, this board went to, and Mr. Milano, we went to yeoman's leaps to close some truly serious budget gaps in the sorry, my four-legged friend gets jealous when I get on the phone. We really worked very diligently to close those gaps, and which led us to what last year was an unprecedented $9.5 million override ballot that was passed by this community. Recently, it was sent to me a comment by one of the select board members, my school committee members, that we, the select board, did not give them the 11.5 million that they wanted. Hence, they're in the situation they're in now. As you know, the veteran members who were here during that know that we worked really hard to put a ballot question that was 3 times any singular override amount that had ever been placed before the voters in this town going back to 1986, which was the very first override. And as much as the schools will have a strong advocacy, and I support that, and I've been personally deeply involved in the schools in more ways than I can count. We as a select board have a responsibility to the entire town. You know, Christine's budget matters just as much as anyone else. You know, the quality of life and people caring for their constituency is important for every person that lives here, and we can never lose sight of that, even though some constituencies may be bigger than the other. Which leads me to my final point about, and I know I'm going on long here, Mr. Chair, but we all received an email this week about some comments that, including myself, Mr. Loring, I believe maybe yourself, Superintendent Phelan made in this process about the difficulty of it. And I want to leave it with this. For all of us in public office, we may not always agree politically. We may not agree on everything, but each and every one of us in our own way, from changing the cannabis law to fighting for schools to fighting for public safety, have all entered this arena to try and make the quality of life better for the people who live here. And until you step your foot into that arena, you don't understand the difficulties or the complexities that it takes to achieve this. And I'm confident that, I'm sure both for Megan and Winston, these recent discussions and meetings are probably a lot more complex than you had hoped for, given the first year after a $9 million override. But my comment is to the resident who made, in her comments, who decided to bring into the comment something about my daughter. And that is someplace you don't get to go. You don't get to go near people's children. You don't get to go near their spouses. You don't get to make a comment about anyone's child as to where they go or what they do or what school they're in. That's off limits. And so to the resident who wrote that letter to us, I thought of calling you out by name. Don't cross that line again. You want to throw rocks at us? I'm all for it. I've been in this fight a long time, as have many others in this town. But you don't get to bring their children or their families into them. So I suggest you strongly think twice before you mention someone's child in your comments to this board and to the school committee. Thank you, and I'm sorry to be a little harsh there, Mr. Chair, but I had to say that today.
That's okay, Mr. Wells.
And thank you to my colleagues, both of them. I know this is a lot of work for them, and this is the last place they probably expected to be, as I said, 1 year out of a $9.5 million override. But I have full confidence in you. I know you'll get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Wells, and I certainly understand tempers getting heated when children are involved. No doubt about it. Mr. Driscoll, any comments or questions on budget? Okay, he may be frozen there. So I've gotten briefed already on this, so I don't have any particular questions to make at the moment. Anything else that anyone wants to say before we move along, Mr. Milano?
No, I'll just go through like 3 slides here to give a lay of the land update for the board, if
Please, go ahead.
folks are ready. Okay. So, we had provided this breakdown of revenue at our last meeting. I'll identify what has changed in a moment, but this was our revenue outlook from a few weeks ago, where we had projected a $4.95 million increase in new revenue, about 3.42%. And at that time, again, several weeks ago, we were looking, when we took that revenue number against our cost number of about a $2.5 million gap, that we were working to close prior to presenting, a consensus budget to the town for consideration. I will note that this $2.5 million gap was like a $2.1 million cut on the school side and a $400,000 plus cut on town requests for fiscal 27. So that's a $2.1 million number that had been used prior in terms of reductions. So what has changed? On the revenue side, we did receive the state aid figures earlier than anticipated. So we're grateful to the Governor Haley's administration for coming to the MMA annual conference and then immediately releasing all the state aid information that we needed to continue on our budget process. The overall takeaway is that we receive aid and we also are charged assessments by the state. So we look at that number on net. So while our state aid number did go up 275,000 approximately over what we had anticipated, our assessments also went up more than anticipated by about $50,000. So on net, the governor's budget was about $225,000 more in aid than we had used as our working number originally. So that's positive. So that's positive about $225,000. In addition, I'll speak about this in a little bit more detail in a moment. I'm also recommending that we adjust our withdrawal from the operating budget stabilization fund to increase that to a withdrawal of $935,000, which is $235,000 more than anticipated. So that gives us a new revenue target of about $151.4 million. So there have been other adjustments as well, particularly on the expense side. And I'll run through those. So we reduced our debt service forecast by $230,000. Pardon me, folks are here to clean the building. Let me just shut my door. Sorry for that. Not used to that. Where was I? So now we're talking through expense reductions. Debt service, we were able to fine tune our debt service budget. And I should just note as a high point, we obviously try to nail down our budgets as much as possible. But these kind of adjustments as we move through the budget calendar are typical as we try to, move from rough forecasts to more accurate estimates. So our fiscal 27 debt service budget was reduced partly by applying some premiums that received on some debt issuances that we put out, but primarily because of how we're shifting our strategy for funding the Cunningham Collycott project. We're going to borrow that alongside the money for the East Milton Fire Station. And the bottom line is we're going to start paying that debt off for both of those projects in fiscal 28 rather than fiscal 27 for a few factors. And I can get into those in much greater detail if folks are interested. But that's about a $200,000 overall reduction. But I should just note it's a shift from 27 to 28. It's not a savings, a permanent savings. So we've essentially deferred that cost to a future year, but we still need to pay that. On health insurance and working with the school department, we've identified some savings on health insurance, primarily from identifying places to charge other funds for health insurance costs. Right now, or up until fiscal 27, any employee who was receiving health insurance benefits, the town's share of the premium was budgeted centrally in our shared health insurance budget. However, particularly on the school side, there are a number of funds where they pay for their employees' salaries entirely out of that separate fund. Beginning in fiscal 27, we're proposing that the food service fund cover the health insurance costs for those employees who are benefit eligible, who work enough hours, and who are on health insurance. That's about $245,000 in savings. Then on the town side, Milton Retirement should be getting charged for a health insurance benefit, so we'll make that adjustment and correction moving forward. There are additional employees, particularly in community schools program, who are receiving their pay through a separate fund. The schools have indicated that that fund is not equipped to support bearing those additional costs. And while we acknowledge that perhaps for 27, I think we need a plan to shift those costs as well, as these are fee-based programs that are funding salaries. They should be covering the entire cost to run those programs. We'll continue that conversation. As I noted on the state aid, we had a net increase of $225,000. And then for two additional changes that I've been working on and am inclined and proposing is that we appropriate $1 million of free cash into the operating budget stabilization fund to be used over each of the next 4 fiscal years. So $1 million would go in fiscal 27, and an additional $235,000 would come out. Then that $235,000 would increase 5% each year till we consume that $1 million over the next 4 years. So it's a down payment to be withdrawn and amortized over the course of 4 years. So that brings more money in fiscal 27, but it also brings more money into fiscal 28, 29, and 30. Lastly, as one of the folks on public comment noted that, and Mr. Daly just was speaking about in terms of school reserves, the school department is trying to build reserves. As we all know, the schools did use many of their funds that they had available to get through the past 2 fiscal years. One solution here is to assist with building those reserves. Just as on the town side, we appropriate free cash to general stabilization and other stabilization funds to be used on a future date, we could appropriate free cash to be used for their reserves. Exactly that, correct accounting avenue is still kind of to be determined, and we're looking at various options. But the overall concept is, rather than affect the school operating budget to try to build reserves, the town's free cash surplus could be used for that purpose, which is one of the purposes that the DOR recommends the use of free cash. So again, that would assist in their overall policy goal to increase their reserves, and put the decision on the school department to how to use their other funds in fiscal 27, but contribute to that. So those are the budget adjustments that we've made and that we're proposing, and where that leaves us is in an improved position. Obviously, we're not able to get to a place where we're able to fully support level service requests from town and schools. But when you add the additional revenue that we've been talking about and make the adjustments on cost, we're able to reduce that deficit, overall deficit, to $1.5 million. And I've received some questions about the town and school split here. My recommendation is that we share all revenues after shared expenses are taken out. So that means that once we take out our health insurance costs, our pension costs, OPEB, everything in a shared category, the revenue that's left over gets split by the town and schools and shared, similar to how it's always been shared, which means that town and school budget should increase by the same amount. So this means the bottom line is that in fiscal 27, under this forecast as things stand today, the school department and all the town departments collectively would increase by just shy of 3.3%. In terms of where does that leave them in their requests for fiscal 27, it's a $1.39 million reduction in the school department's request and $140,000 request in the town department's request. So when we talk about cuts, the cut is from the fiscal 27 request. So that is broadly where things stand today. Know that these are kind of works in progress. Nothing is set in stone here. We would obviously want to reach agreement with the school administration and school committee on some of these tweaks and adjustments as we work towards a consensus budget and with the warrant committee. But this is some of the solutions we're looking at alongside some of the adjustments that have come in the last couple of weeks in terms of our expenses and state aid. Happy to take questions at this time if there are any.
Questions from the members? Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, as you know, Nick, the past several years on the level service, we've sent the majority of town departments away, holding to a level service budget with no increases at all, no additional personnel increases. This budget continues that practice. There'd be really no room for any growth in by way of programs, personnel, vacancies, critical needs that have been brought forward in the past 2 to 3 years on the town side. Am I correct?
That is correct. That's on both town and school side. That's how the budgets were written, with assuming level service. And so, very minor tweaks to how some money might be used within departments, but in terms of adding new programming or adding new personnel, no.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had at this point. I get, and again, to Member Daly and Member Hagan and yourself, Nick, and Amy as well. I know this has been a tough couple of months, but stick to your guns. It's looking good. I mean, it's hard. It's, as you know, Nick, the budget is the most difficult time of the year every year. And as I said previously, you wouldn't expect to be having this discussion 6 months after a $9.5 million override, but it's where you are. And I know these are tough decisions, and I support you and all of you on the work that you're doing in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Anyone else? Well, Nick, thank you for the updates and echoing Mr. Wells's thanks to the members of our finance committee who are doing great work over there. Moving on, we have capital budget, Mr. Milano.
The capital committee is meeting Thursday morning, so we will be prepared, Mr. Wells, at that point. And I just, in terms of one of Christine's comments from earlier, the request for the 14 passenger replacement buses in the draft list of recommended projects that would move forward. Certainly, ideally, that would be funded by the Mass DOT grant program, but where at least I've recommended that we set aside funding for that in case that grant program does not come through. So I wanted to add that. Sorry, Mr. Wells.
Mr. Wells.
Just be quick, Mr. Chair. So, Nick, as you know, we were going to meet in person, but given the fact that it's going to be 5 degrees out, I'll email Amy tonight. For this week. We have not met in person, Mr. Chair, since before COVID. And I've been on this committee 9 years, and I just wanted to have one meeting in person where we could all, but when I look at the weather for this week.
Yeah, maybe pick a different month.
All right, we can do it. So I'll email. I know we did post it as both hybrid for those who couldn't come. We'll stay on. We meet at 7:30 in the morning. We'll stay on Zoom for this week. Thank you. That's all I had on that, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. All right. So anything else on capital? Moving along, we have, well, I guess we've kind of already done it. The committee reports from the Select Board Finance Committee and the Milton Budget Coordination Committee. Anything else that you, Ms. Hegarty, would want to add to what you've already given us?
Nope, there's just a big chunk of work that's happening, that's in flight. And
Great.
we're going to continue talking about it and have a lot of meetings coming up.
Thank you for that work. So we'll try to keep this one a little shorter. Item 11 is the Policy Committee Report, Select Board Code of Conduct, second reading. Do we want to have any discussion about this? We've talked about this at our last meeting and our previous meeting. This was something that Mr. Driscoll and I worked on with Mr. Milano starting in December. And we've reviewed the document, I think, last week and read it the first time. Mr. Milano, anything else from your side?
No, only there are no further edits at this time other than what was presented and shared in the packet again this week.
Thank you. Yeah, I know we had made a couple of tweaks that first time it was presented. Anyone else, any thoughts? I'll entertain a motion on this one.
You want a motion to approve? Is that what you want?
Yes, do we approve the second reading?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve second reading. You got it.
I second.
All right. Any further discussion? This is a roll call vote. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
and Mr. Daly.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on then to item 12, the road diet. Mr. Milano, what's the latest? Ms. Hegarty,
I'm
do
going
you
to
wanna-
recuse myself.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I don't have any updates at this point. I did have a conversation with Paul Holland regarding 7-Eleven Randolph and some of the work he's putting together to speak to and get in touch with MassDOT, but that traces back and connects to our conversation that we've been having about that stretch of where the bollards are close to, between DPW and Access Road. So
Right.
that's been primarily the comments we've delivered to MassDOT in recent weeks. I don't have anything beyond that at this time.
Anything from the members on the road diet?
Have we gotten any further input from the residents where we put in the no left turns? I haven't seen anything in our collective email, but I don't know if there's been any feedback or anything additional last month or so.
No, a note to say it seems to be having an effect, but beyond that, no additional feedback. Some of the concerns that have been raised have been some folks who are having a little bit of a challenging time accessing their homes now because they would go around and because they can't take that left on Randolph because of those bollards that are in the middle of the road. But that's been, as we said, already kind of communicated to MassDOT on that aspect.
Okay.
Can I say something, Mrs. O? I
Of
don't,
course, Mr. Driscoll.
this week with the snowstorm, it actually flowed pretty good. There was some cars having trouble going up the hill, but people moved over to the left and went around them. And, it really hasn't affected it at all. I agree with the ballards being removed down near me, but like I said, I added to the ballards a little more snow in the middle. It actually worked out better for me. So, so it's not hindrance to me, but the neighborhood would like them removed and I would too, but it really flowed good in that snowstorm. And I was very surprised. I was very critical of it, but it really worked good. That's, just want to report that.
Thank you, Mr. Driscoll. You had probably a better view of this snowstorm than any of us on the board, so we appreciate your input. Mr. Milano, anything else on the road diet?
No, I just think the other element of this is we're going to have to start coordinating with MassDOT a conversation about, their feedback, their analysis, and their kind of debriefing on it, and then the conversation as to permanent or not. So we'll start thinking about that. They had said broadly spring 2026, and that'll be here before we know it. So we'll start working on that.
Yeah, maybe if we haven't heard anything from them about scheduling it, maybe on the 10th we have a letter that we could send suggesting that it would be helpful to get something on the books for the spring, which in the snow feels quite far away, but we know that it's not. Okay, so moving on, we have a discussion approval application to use the town green and Baron Hugo gazebo on Saturday, June 13th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the annual Strawberry Festival.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
All right, motion has been made. Do I hear a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, this will be a roll. Any further discussion about the Strawberry Festival?
And this is a very controversial issue. We should spend 20 minutes on it. No.
I mean, there could be a story about strawberries that someone needs
No.
to share. This will be a roll call vote. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Daly,
Yes.
and Ms. Hegarty,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Sorry, I'm just following an order on where you want on the screen. Mr. Wells, you have your hand up.
I think he just lost some
Oh,
tech.
you might have lost. All right. Okay, then moving along. Item number 14 is application to use Manning Park for the Ramadan light display ceremony, February 17th, 2026 through March 22nd, 2026. Sorry, February 17th, 2026 to March 22nd, 2026.
Right. Move to approve the application to use Manning Park for the Ramadan light display ceremony, February 17th, 2026 through March 22nd, 2026.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. This will be a roll call vote. Oh, we've lost Mr. Wells. We'll start with Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Daly,
Yes.
and Ms. Hegarty.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Moving along, we have the town administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple things this evening. And we had mentioned it previously, but again, just another reminder. The Affordable Housing Lottery for 936 Brush Hill Road, which is being called the Trustlow Residences. All that information is available on the town website now, as well as the SCB Housing website. They're having an info session on February 11th. Applications are due March 9th, and then the lottery will be held 2 weeks later on the 23rd. This past weekend was the Mass Municipal Association's conference. I was in there for Friday for the vendor trade show and some workshops. It was good to see a number of employees from Milton attend, to see colleagues, learn from colleagues, as we do on an annual basis this time of year. And again, as I noted earlier, grateful that the governor announced her support for local aid again in fiscal 27 and put out her local aid figures. And then lastly, just in terms of the recovery from the approximately 2 feet of snow from this weekend. So I just appreciate everybody's patience as Milton DPW and contractors plugged away for many, many hours running in terms of trying to get streets caught up, and then snowed again that evening, which was the last thing we needed. Appreciate the school community's understanding of the delay to keep today closed, just so that additional work could get done on side roads, as well as opening up the sidewalks and the areas around town. Crews are out as we speak. They've been to Cunningham, Collycott, to Glover, Pierce. So that work will continue to take place this evening. And just it's a lot of hours. So I just want to echo previous member support for their work, and just thank the teams for everything they've done. And we'll continue to clean up over the next couple of days, and we'll not talk about any additional snow for this weekend today, maybe tomorrow. And that's it for me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Milano. Just a very quick thank you from myself as well to all of the crews and everyone else who makes it possible for us to get through storms like we just had. I do want to note, I think it's important to note that today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's something that should never be forgotten, but certainly not on its annual day. And finally, Mr. Milano, we received a nice message on the select board about the potential naming of the fire station meeting room for Catherine Dumphy, I believe, who is the first female select board member. And I know our previous member, Bradley, was always passionate about finding spaces and women to honor in town. And so it strikes me that's a very nice suggestion, and maybe we can, you can do a little digging, and we can discuss that next week. Or not next week, but on the 10th.
Looking at that for that meeting.
Okay. Mr. Wells, did you have a question? Maybe not. Okay, then I will go ahead and move us along. We have a public comment response. I think we addressed all, most of the points that were brought up. But any member wants to respond to any of the speakers that we didn't have a chance to address. Okay. Then future meeting schedule, we have the 10th and 24th of next month, February, back on our regular second and fourth Thursdays. Any conflicts with those for anybody? Great. Future agenda items.
Quick question.
Yes, Ms. Hegarty.
Do we ever, so historically, has the select board gotten an update on like snow and ice spending? Like, is that something that that people care about, like mid snow season or anything like that?
Mr. Milano, I have to admit that it's been a relatively sparse term on my years on the select board, so I don't know that we were ever that concerned about it. Your memory would go back further.
No, any budget report that folks are interested, we can share. We can provide an update. Obviously, our departmental man hour is a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And then are easier to track and easier to kind of capture in real time. Salt deliveries, we might not get billed, but we can provide an update. We're going to, after once we got through this storm, just to refresh.
Okay, yeah.
The prior we've only had to call contractors out maybe once or twice so far this winter. So we can provide a more thorough update at a future meeting. The 10th would probably
When
be.
it would make sense, like
Okay.
maybe end of February, beginning of March,
Sure.
as we're starting to sort of near the end of the season, it might be just good to see how that account is shaping up,
Yeah, and we may want to
especially as
move it.
we are in a
Yeah.
constrained time.
I was going to say we may want to move that up a little bit early. Not that there's too much that we can do about it, but knowing that there's another storm on the horizon this coming Sunday. I mean, I'm just thinking back 9 years when we would get a blizzard a week. We may, hopefully, we're not in for that, but I think it's a great suggestion from Member Hegarty. Mr. Wells, did you have a comment? I'm sorry, I called on you earlier.
I did, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Please.
Thanks. Sorry, I got knocked down. I lost internet. The snow's killing my neighborhood. So to Miss Haggerty's point first, I don't ever remember us doing that. As I'm sure knowing the business and Mr. Milano the last 2 years have been kind of we've been cheated. If you're a snow lover, we've been cheated. But snow and ice usually runs at a deficit each year. It always has, as long as I can remember. Just Nick, a comment, and we could save this for capital on Thursday. I just want to talk about the equipment. One of the things you and I talked yesterday about this. These are the kind of storms, and Ms. Haggerty can relate to this. And you see it in the complaints people are posting and say, "Well, I can only get one car down." The equipment that you have on hand really details the capability and you have of pushing those snowbanks back. So on most of the side streets, even now tonight, I rode a good part of the town again tonight. It's going to be interesting when the school buses take the streets tomorrow. So we could talk about that a little bit more. Just on a separate note, because this is really important. We talked about commercial growth tonight. Mr. Zoll, you hop on this all the time, and it's one thing I agree with you, except in this arena, I definitely agree. The restaurant Juliana's has been waiting and waiting. I went and checked on it again Friday. There's no action there. I called the owner. They've received no response. I know that the building owner answered all the questions that the building inspector had before them. If they don't get to move forward on this rather quickly, they're going to have to put the opening of this restaurant off an entire year. And when we talk about commercial dollars, as I stated last week, food meals tax is one of the true things in this town. We're able to increase our tax base every single year. And so we have the potential of opening a third restaurant, complicated by those two businesses that currently sit atop of the fruit center, the toy store and the specialty store. They are truly counting on this restaurant coming there to sustain their business. Yeah, granted, they were great between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but they're 12-year operations. I really, and I don't want to be harsh on this, Mr. Chair, but I think we need to bring the building inspector in at the next meeting to find out what's going on here. Because it's all on our side, is to get this project moving. I mean, it's been 2 years, as you know, Mr. Zoll, 2 years in the making. And I looked through the window and it hasn't moved in weeks. It's the same as it was 8 weeks ago. And I hate to hop on it, but every dollar counts, as each of you know, and we can't let this sit here. We need to do what we can to help move this project forward.
So if I may, Mr. Wells, to frame that in context of the discussion of a future agenda item, I think that sounds like a good future agenda item. Mr. Milano, I'm not sure how the 10th works, but I'm sure that we would all appreciate an update, probably even faster than that, maybe by email, as to what a holdup might be there.
There are many open permits that the building owners took out and did not call for inspection for, that the building department and the fire department are working through, including fire protection problems. So I am happy to provide a lengthy update, but I would just note that the building commissioner sent out a lengthy email with a list of open permits a couple of weeks ago that the building owner has been working through. I was on an email today with the fire chief that they have still not scheduled their fire inspection and sprinkler inspection. So I appreciate that work is underway, is taking place, and town departments are working hand in hand to get this work done. But it's not the restaurant business's fault. It's the building owner and work that was done there, not inspected, and we're trying to close those permits out before additional work is done within that structure.
Thank you. Mr. Daly, you've been patient with your hand up.
I think Mr. Wells had something to add.
No, I you don't have enough minutes for me, Mr. Daly, in this tonight. I'm not letting this one go. Go ahead. It's all yours. Sorry, I left my hand up.
My only point was for future agenda is, maybe this is oversight on my part, but I don't think we finished the fire station RFP, approving that to be put forth. I think we tabled that. So to make sure that we don't.
Oh, for the East Milton Station, Mr. Milano.
Good point.
Yes, no, we I shared it again at the last meeting. Any comments, questions, edits, we're happy to take in. I'm awaiting the appraisal report, and then but that can certainly be on the 10th agenda if this board is ready to put that out or give it one last kind of look through before issuing. But yep, we can include that.
Let's put it on to discuss on the 10th, and we can decide if we want to go ahead with it.
Sure.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Wells?
Sorry, just a quick follow-up on Mr. Daly's comment, just for the point, because there's been a couple of social media comments recently about both the East Milton Station and the Atherton Street Station. And I did comment on one, and I never comment here, and that's Paige, but no one anywhere suggested tearing down anything. Not Engine 4, not the East Milton Fire Station. The East Milton Fire Station, as we know, is about to be vacated and moved to a new fire station. And even if we put it on RFP and award one, and if we were to lease it, sell it, the four corners of that building is still going to exist. It's going to be there. So as far as anyone saying we're advocating to tear it down, I've not heard that from any of my colleagues of this board or any previous board, and I don't think anyone here is advocating for that. So I just want to make that clear so that everyone in social media land can understand exactly where we are on this. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Just to note, though, we are on future agenda items, so we'll have a chance to have full discussion about these items in the future, but appreciate your comments. Ms. Hegarty, you've been patiently waiting with your hand up.
We're all so chatty tonight. So I wanted to support Member Wells's I think he was also requesting, not just for the individual project, but I think it would be a good idea to get a report from the building department on, the work they do, what goes into it, their capacity, and the revenue that they bring into the town.
I think that's a
Yeah.
great department. I think it's a great suggestion. Maybe we bump it out a couple of weeks to just separate it from this immediate issue.
Yeah.
But Mr. Milano, maybe for either the first meeting in March or something like that.
Yeah, sure. We can coordinate that, and I'm sure he'll be happy to join us.
That would be great. Any further? I love it when everyone has so many great ideas for our agenda. But seeing none, I'm going to, Mr. Milano, my understanding is we're only going to need to do our executive session for the trustees. Is that right?
Correct. The select board executive sessions are not necessary at this point.
Okay, so I will take, and just remember, everybody, don't log off straight away. I will take a motion to adjourn select board.
I'll make that, so moved. I'll make that motion.
Do I have a
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Driscoll. This will be a roll call vote. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Daly,
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
and myself, yes. And now I would like to open a meeting of the, or call to order the meeting of the Governor Stoughton trustees. And, oh, I lost my motion here. And then I would like to move to enter into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, town farm, based on my belief that discussion of this matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the Governor Stoughton trustees. The trustees will not return to open session. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Daly,
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
I'll abstain.
and myself, yes. So right before I turn this off, do we have a separate link for the executive session?
No, we can actually we can just hang on this, and I'll close it once everybody else does sign off and you adjourn.
All right. Well, I will adjourn us then. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a great and safe rest of your week. Stay warm.